Yeah, thank you, Chris and Nick. I'm delighted to be here today because I think we're at a very pivotal moment in the transformation of global trade. Why do I say that? It's because basically the building blocks are all coming together. So if we think
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, we're going to be diving into some fundamentals that you may have missed over the past consecutive couple of weeks, considering that the vast amount of individuals have been distracted by this most recent market downturn. In today's video breakdown, I'm going to show you all some ongoing developments behind the scenes that nobody via the mainstream is talking about, just to keep you all focused and forward looking on the long-term objective that these new digital technologies, blockchain, distributed ledger, cryptocurrency, stablecoins, CBDCs are all going to be integrated and orchestrated into this new financial system. Whether you like it or not, there is no choice. And in today's video breakdown, I'm going to show you all that cryptocurrency is not dead, that you should be paying attention to the organizations and the companies that are still developing, that are still networking, that are still growing while we're in a market downturn. As always, many blessings to you guys. Welcome back to the CYPRX platform. Do us a favor, if you enjoy these video breakdowns, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Shout out to the CYPRX researchers for providing the vast amount of this information. We also have some other researchers whose information we're going to share on today's video breakdown, sharing some video clips with you all as well. So let's jump in. I'm going to go in, I'm going to share screen, keeping you forward looking and hopeful, especially considering this most recent market downturn that we have just most recently experienced. So we're going to head over here and we're going to start off by setting the tone via two representatives on a panel discussion that took place just a couple of weeks ago. Former Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives and another individual from Digital Assets. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is the CEO. And we're going to listen to two things that these gentlemen go on to say. Take a second and listen.
How does technology get so politicized?
It's easy politics. Well, first of all, we're going into an election year. There's that, but it's easy politics. And the politics come from a good place, I would say, the populism. It comes from a pro-privacy, pro-freedom place, so that's good. But it's such a misunderstood technology. Very few people know what it is, how it works, what it does. A lot of people think it's a choice as to whether this is going to happen or not. It's not. And the politics is very simple for ambitious populists. So the question is, can you see through this particular moment, the Overton window as we describe it? I think the answer is yes, because the inevitability of this technology is here. As an American,
so I truly believe it's inevitable that it will get to money, because the holy grail is to actually put money and other assets on the same rails. That's really where you unlock the real potential of this technology. So I think that one of the biggest issues that this industry had, specifically related to this technology, is that 5 years ago, there were so many promises on how this is going to change the world, but there was nothing to show for it. So a lot of people really put this technology into the bucket of, a bunch of crypto bros that are just pumping coins. I think now you're actually able to show demonstrable use cases, not even use cases. I think when you say use cases, it sounds still like an experiment, but actual asset classes that are processing hundreds of billions of dollars of transactions on a daily basis. You're seeing reconciliation being reduced. You're seeing operational risk being reduced, settlement risk being reduced. So I think that having these other asset classes that are already using the technology in real life is helping, at least for digital asset, when we're having conversations with the Fed, with the OCC, and with regulators globally to say, look, this is not a pipe dream, this is actual reality.
Right? So there is not going to be a choice. And we are moving from this crypto bros environment, pumping up meme coins, to real utility and use case environment, which leads me over to this post right here from Tokenizer. If you do not follow this individual on the X space, absolutely phenomenal researcher in my personal opinion, and everybody should be following this gentleman's work. Just a few months ago, people were crying about how their bags weren't packed. Bitcoin soared to new all-time highs as alts ran, and now the markets have cooled off and suddenly everyone is scared of entering. Fundamentally, nothing has changed. That I can agree with 110%. As a matter of fact, fundamentally, things have actually turned up a notch. The adoption of DLT is still going strong. It is simply just a shift in retail sentiment due to the euphoria from green candles dying back down. The cycle of fear and greed is never ending. People see these prices now and puke. They don't even want to touch this space with a 10-foot pole. But just a few months back, they swore they'd refinance their mortgage if ABC coins went below 50 cents again. Emotions are your biggest enemy. Shout out to Tokenizer. This was such a phenomenal post. But when there's blood in the streets, you should be buying, even if that blood is yours. What do you think people are going to say once the market returns again? That's right. I wish I packed my bags more when prices were low. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to be paying attention. Again, not financial advice. Let me show you all what I'm talking about. This document is from EY labeled Gaining Ground, How Institutional Investors Plan to Approach Digital Assets in 2024. Take a look at when this report is from, May 2024. And if you go and look at the charts, the market, the total cryptocurrency market, actually topped out at $2.56 trillion in May 2024 and started its most recent decline. Well, would you look at what they say in this document? Allocation to digital assets and interest in tokenization is expected to increase. So what do you think these financial institutions with much more money than you and I, now that the market is discounted, is going to be doing? Again, considering entering into this space at a discounted price. Here you can see 94% of respondents that were surveyed in this report are long-term believers in the market. Of respondents, out of 94% believe in the long-term value of blockchain technology and or crypto and digital assets. We can even see right here, it says, institutional investors have increased allocations into digital assets or digital asset related products and plan to continue doing so. I cannot stress enough, now is not the time to be shaken out or be concerned about your investments just because they are in the red right now via this most recent market downturn. So I said to you all on the X space, imagine being the type of person who fears market downturns instead of seeing them as golden opportunities. Sadly, these types of people do exist. When the market is red, they try to convince you that crypto is a scam, that it's all going to zero, that all crypto is only used for terrorist financing, and that regulators will ban it, which we know for a fact they will not. Really, they are just trying to convince themselves to cope with their misery. They are not successful, so they do not want you to become successful either. I have a tip for you all. Again, not financial advice, but block those people and buy more blue chip digital assets that have real utility and use case. Research into the ones who are partnered with the biggest banks and organizations on this planet and revisit those same exact people that told you crypto was a scam in 1 to 3 years' time. I bet that they will feel like absolute dog crap and tell you that you are just lucky, right? Moving on. Just to show you guys what I'm talking about, that developments are happening behind the scenes. This is from July 4th, when the fear in the crypto greed and fear index peaked at a low that has not been seen since Bitcoin was trading at $17,000. I said to you all, zoom out. Crypto is dropping, but it is far from dead. Pay attention. Do not F up this opportunity. Today, again, on July 4th, give or take, it's July 8th, a couple days after this fundamental came out, Visa just partnered with Tangem to integrate crypto wallets for secured payments, and people really think crypto is dead. You most likely listening to this video breakdown right now have a Visa or MasterCard sitting in your wallet right now as we speak. And you can see the direction that Visa is headed in, integrating into this crypto ecosystem. You cannot make this stuff up. This is exactly why 95% of the population will completely miss this massive opportunity for life-changing wealth. Now, just like we mentioned in the previous post, you should be focusing on utility, use case, organizations, and companies that are partnering with the biggest companies and organizations on this planet and continuously making developments behind the scenes. I've said to you all, heavily discounted assets that did nothing but develop, build, and integrate with large organizations over the last 2 years. Here are just some examples. MNW, Soy, and Aerodrome. all undervalued assets in my personal opinion. For example, Soy Network just a couple of weeks ago partnered with Google and Copper to build out full institutional accessibility. Aerodrome blasted through major milestones in the DeFi ecosystem where Base saw a significant increase in TVL led by Aerodrome. MNW Supply Chain is a supply chain middleware platform that effortlessly connects traditional systems with cutting-edge technologies such as blockchain, Internet of Things, RFID, AI, ML, and much more. Major clients include Coca-Cola, which again, most of you know exist, Sobeys, and FCL, just to name a few. So now let's head over to another post from Tokenizer. Again, shout out to Tokenizer. Go give him a follow on the X space. Two things I want you all to pay attention to in this post he made from June 28, 2024. He capitalizes on Casper and MNW. Now, two assets, again, in my personal opinion, that will perform well when we enter into a utility cycle. He went on to say, they say Casper is dead. Buying Casper at 2 cents, I think it even dropped below 2 cents most recently, is an absolute steal when you zoom out and look at the long-term perspective. 34 days ago, Casper and IBM unveiled Prove AI. Moving on, we also see they say MNW is dead. 11 days ago, Morpheus in EU blockchain sandbox. So what is this individual talking about? Again, I just want to show a video that the CYPRX researchers dropped in our private Discord from the Casper Association 1 week ago, where I said to you guys on X, most people are sleeping on Casper as a long-term hold. Notice how in this video, which I'm going to play for you guys in just 1 second, it was shot in the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. Again, remember, regulations are coming and a lot of digital assets are not going to survive. We know crypto regulation in the United States is troublesome, and clearly Casper Labs will be one of those players that survives this regulatory purge. They go on to say, this is a huge win for regulators and financial institutions. Pay attention to detail. Price before financial institutions come does not matter. People, do you understand how discounted these assets are? They will call people who bought Casper at 2 cents lucky in 3 to 5 years. Take a second and listen to this representative from Casper.
So my name is Mark Greenslade and I'm head of R&D at the Casper Association. And so this is a second Actors Conference that we've been involved with as a co-organizer and partner. This is part of a longer term strategy to bring financial contracts into the kind of DLT space or blockchain space, servicing financial contracts. So adopting a standard such as Actis, which normalizes data around the financial services industry, is going to be a huge win for both regulators as well as financial institutions.
Now back to Tokenizer's post where he goes on to mention MNW. Well, right here you can see European Blockchain Sandbox announces the selected projects for the second cohort, and MNW Supply Chain was selected. This is most recent from June 14, 2024. Following another competitive selection process, the European Blockchain Sandbox team are delighted to present the use cases selected for the second cohort of Sandbox Dialogues. And again, MNW was selected. Now, I want you to pay attention to crucial vocabulary here because it goes on to mention competitive selection process. Now, I'm going to play a video clip with a highly reputable individual on a panel discussion that goes on to mention that the organizations that remain competitive are the ones that will survive long term. Take a second and listen.
And the scale really matters. The economies of scales in payments is extremely important. So if you want to scale up, first of all, the product or the network has to be very good, So it's the good ones or the more competitive ones that will in the end succeed.
Right? And we can see that through this competitive selection, MNW was chosen for the European Blockchain Sandbox. You cannot make this stuff up. Again, these are all developments that the mainstream is not going to inform you about. I also posted this to you guys just the other day on July 3rd, 2024. Recently, MNW Supply Chain achieved a remarkable feat by clinching the coveted title of Blockchain Supply Chain Solution of the Year from Supply Chain Tech Breakthrough for the second consecutive year. Again, devil is in the details. The evaluation criteria for the Supply Chain Breakthrough Awards program are meticulously designed around the core concept of innovation. With the focus on breakthrough solutions, the award recognizes companies that address genuine needs, tackle complex problems, or pioneer new markets or industries. And here you can see some of the things that they were judged on: innovation, performance, ease of use and manageability, functionality, value, and impact. And right here, again, more judging criteria. You can see Morpheus Network wins back-to-back Blockchain Supply Chain Solution Award of the Year. They won in 2023, and they just most recently won in 2024. So kudos to them. Just to show you guys, developments are happening behind the scenes, give or take this most recent market downturn. Do not let that distract you. Now, this post is absolutely essential because it confirms that we are at a pivotal moment in trade digitalization and tokenization of trade processing. Here we can see the process of creating a unique digital representation of an asset on a blockchain network has reached a tipping point after many years of promising and experimentation. Here you can see it says tokenization, the process of creating a unique digital representation of an asset on a blockchain network, has reached a tipping point after many years of promise and experimentation. Now, let's just take a second and listen to a reputable individual on a panel discussion mention the same thing.
I'm delighted to be here today because I think we're at a very pivotal moment in the transformation of global trade. Why do I say that? It's because basically the building blocks are all coming together. So if we think, what do we need to transform trade? You want the legal environment to basically get reform, and that's happening. Not the UK seems to have started a trend. So obviously France, the US, they're all considering legislation. If I can sort of name the countries in the G20, I would say that at least half are actively preparing for passing the model law on electronic transferable records. Major regions like the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, same thing. We no longer hear why should we do this, but simply how. And that is such a good trend. So the thing is, it's in the works. So that's legal.
And this fundamental piece is from June 20th, 2024. So it is all updated information. Now over here, we're going to migrate into the XDC Trade Network. Before we get into the XDC Trade Network, I want you all to take a second and listen to this individual mention that trade digitalization is not going to be something that happens overnight. I want everybody to keep in mind that this is not some bullish moon boy meme coin pump. XDC actually solves a real world problem. It has valid use cases and is connected with some of the largest organizations in the world. This will be a slow grind adoption process, but once it is fully implemented, you are going to wish that you were buying XDC at 3 cents.
I think the single trade windows are really important for them to adopt globally interoperable standards. And we just all have to kind of educate each other, look at each other, and join up and move together. And the thing is, we're not going to transform global trade in like a year. It's going to be inch by inch by inch. But we have to take those gains because at a certain point, we're going to get to that critical mass, and then it's going to really, really flow. But until then, we just got to keep working hard, take those quick wins, and make sure everybody knows about them.
Right? So you heard that individual say that this process of trade digitalization is not going to be some overnight scheme. So get that idea out of your mind. You're not going to get rich quick by investing in this digital asset. It's most likely not going to do anything for the next couple of months because it requires regulation to be fully implemented in place to experience the full utility and value that XDC has to offer. Tokenizer, again, shout out to this individual on X, said, trade finance on-chain is becoming a reality. That we heard the individual representative from the beginning of this video breakdown confirm to some degree that use case and utility is becoming a reality. And it's all becoming alive right now on the XDC network with everything from SMEs to governments. We've seen XDC's utility expand globally, which perfectly fits the scheme of global trade finance. I'm not going to go through and read this entire post, but again, give Tokenizer a follow. Moving on, I said to you all, fintechs leave banks with one choice. It's either adapt or fall behind. Open finance, DeFi, digital assets, and ESG considerations will be the next wave of innovation, particularly changing corporate banking and financial engagement. Let's hear this individual go on to say that Countries that do not adopt will lose their competitive advantage.
And also to recognize that this is a global impetus. And if we in the UK, or if a particular country doesn't get on board, there is a risk that they will compromise their own competitiveness as a result. So now.
And right here, what does this post go on to say? Fintechs leave banks with no choice. It's either adapt or fall behind. Considering again what the individual representative said on the panel discussion, you can see how the vocabulary is synchronized. Everybody behind the scenes that is not in the retail space and heard understands what is happening. You either adapt or you fall behind. You integrate into this digital future ecosystem or you do not, and you get left behind. It is the same for retail. Imagine how many individuals, because they think digital assets are not going to perform well, are going to miss out on this opportunity. Here we can see the head of the XDC Network Enterprise Alliance and Ventures attending the ITFA event on DNI adopting MLETR and digitalization of all trade flows. Keep in mind that the XDC network is still the only layer 1 on the ITFA. Here you can see Andre Casterman and the head of the XDC Network Alliance Enterprise Ventures, and you can see them mentioning the adoption of MLETR and digitalization of all trade flows. Take into consideration what this individual representative is going to tell you all on this panel discussion.
I think so, because the UK is a major economy. It's got a huge trading footprint, and because the passage of the ETDA was not just one thing, it was actually part of an integrated trade strategy, which has seen the UK basically revamp its trade strategy and build new partnerships, new relationships, establish new trading corridors, which give business the platform and the confidence to go experiment. The biggest issue I think we're facing is that what we're asking businesses to do is actually stop doing something which works imperfectly and try something which you don't know will work. Okay, and that leap into uncertainty is not what people in business generally get rewarded for. So that's why they seek, okay, what's the business case? How am I going to make my return if I invest this much, and get it back within this year? What am I going to do if it doesn't work? Are my trading partners doing so? So they're seeking other reasons to jump on board. And that's why they always say, oh, well, if it's for compliance, I'll do it, because then the choice is out of their hands. And so it's an easy yes. And so I think what the ETDA has done is actually add confidence that the way forward for the UK is digital. And you better get all your investment and your people in this direction, because there's no turning back.
Right? The way forward is digital, and you better get on board. You cannot make this stuff up. More developments that took place over the past consecutive couple of weeks from the XDC network. I said to you guys, don't sleep on XDC. So many developments took place in June. Notice that this is also when prices were heavily discounted. You can see right here, StoreX Network, a cutting-edge decentralized storage platform, has seen a 5% increase following a listing on Probit Global. Probit Global has more than 2 million registered users, which will probably lead SRX to more exposure. StoreX Network excels in decentralized storage, leveraging the XDC network's blockchain for top-tier security and privacy. The XDC network is known for its near to zero gas costs charged in XDC, high throughput of over 2,000 transactions per second, carbon neutral operations, and enterprise-grade capabilities. Again, it is a leading layer 1 blockchain and has been since 2019. And you can tell through their partnership integration, through the developments behind the scenes, and to the events that they host and take place in joining in. Here is another recent progression via the XDC network that took place in June. We'll just take a second and look at this. And on June 12, 2024, Doc Lab, based in the Netherlands, has partnered with the XDC Trade Network, where this is a strategic collaboration that aims to enhance the digital transfer of ownership of trade documents, leveraging the MLETR compliant trade trust framework. Again, consider doing deeper research on the XDC Trade Network and some of the developments that are happening behind the scenes. Last but not least, before we head off of this video breakdown, if you've enjoyed this so far, So much information and things happening behind the scenes. Do us a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. We do appreciate the love and the support. We have this fundamental piece right here from June 11th, 2024. Look inside the plans for the largest library in Africa featuring a tokenization research facility. Do you all see the picture of this freaking library? This is absolutely massive. And would you believe me if I said, you can see right here, Saad Atul Kakir, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, co-founder of XDC, tokenization of real-world assets like New Campus in Malo, built on the XDC network, demonstrates enterprise-grade capabilities of XDC Network's blockchain protocol. This is all being built within the XDC network. Education, research, and intellectual scholarship that provides education and spiritual formation to students. The educational institution rides on global Jesuit tradition of providing high-level quality and competitive, again, there's that key word, education found on the ethos of excelling and rigor. So I've now shown you key vocabulary twice. We know reputable individuals talking about MLETR, digitalization of trade documents, and so on and so forth, mentions competitiveness. And we've also heard other reputable individuals mentioning that organizations that remain competitive will be the ones that survive. Here you can see multiple examples of these organizations and these companies like MNW, XDC Trade Network, Casper Labs, and so on and so forth, actually staying and remaining competitive and developing behind the scenes, even in market downturns. Last but not least, we have an up-and-coming event that the XDC Trade Network will be a leading sponsor of and presenting their tokenization solutions to large financial institutions. The 2024 Trade Finance Investor Day will take place on the 11th through the 12th of November 2024. And here you can again see Andre Casterman mentioning this on his LinkedIn profile and hashtagging the XDC Trade Network. You can also see Trade Finance Investor Day 2024. Current sponsors are XDC Trade Network, Trade Tech, Lloyds Bank, and so on and so forth. So with all of that information in mind, I hope that you all enjoyed this deep dive today, showing you guys some ongoing developments that are happening behind the scenes, keeping you all forward looking. Remember, do not lose focus. Understand that eventually we will enter into a utility-driven cycle where utility-driven assets that have been focused on use case, utility, networking, developing, and building and integrating into these large organizations and financial institutions will eventually flourish. It is going to take time. This is not an overnight get-rich scheme. As always, many blessings to you guys. None of this is financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and buy any of these digital assets. Always do your own research. I cannot stress enough. If you want a platform where, again, we offer all of this research at your fingertips, hundreds of documents, hundreds of PDFs, hundreds of video breakdowns of panel discussions that never reach the mainstream, then go check out CYPRXtrading.com. Join us in the private Discord. We would love to have you in the community. As always, be cognizant, be aware out there, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video breakdown.